There are great engines, and then there are absolutely terrible ones. And today, my friends, we're gonna look at 15 of the worst engines that'll make your buddy's clapped out E36 look like a RAV4. And stick around because number one is generational failure, starting with the BMW N63. Yes, first up we've got BMW's N63, a twin turbocharged 4.4 liter V8 that, on paper, sounds like the perfect combination of power, precision, and German engineering. Unfortunately though, reality isn't nearly as sweet. BMW decided it would be super clever to put the turbochargers right inside the V-shaped valley of the engine. Sure, it saves space and looks really cool on a brochure, but it also cooks everything like an automotive George Foreman grill. And you know what hates excessive heat? Rubber hoses, plastic fittings, and seals. And guess what? This engine is absolutely full of rubber, plastic, and seals. Before you know it, coolant and oil start leaking everywhere. Your valve seals degrade, and suddenly your pristine German sports sedan is chucking oil faster than your weird Uncle Terry downs beers at Thanksgiving. Add that to a poorly designed PCV system, which pulls oil directly into the combustion chamber, and you've got an engine that's one step away from total meltdown. Watch out for this one, folks. But if you want to find an ideal car at an even more ideal price, check out the link in the first pinned comment via Auto Tempest. Don't buy these on this list. Next. At first glance, Volkswagen's 2-liter TSI seems like the perfect little turbocharged powerhouse. I mean, it has smooth power delivery and great gas mileage, and it has a nice punch when you hit the gas. But truth be told, beneath that shiny German exterior lurks a financial nightmare waiting to drain your bank account. The EA888 loves breaking things that shouldn't break. Timing chain tensioners fail so often, mechanics stock them like candy. Water pumps have the structural integrity of a wet napkin, and ignition coils die just by looking at them wrong. And the turbochargers randomly decide retirement sounds nice, usually halfway through the road trip. And the icing on the cake, direct fuel injectors so finicky that your repair bill will feel like a bad gambling habit. Owning this engine is like being in a toxic relationship. It looks great from the outside, but it costs you your insanity and your savings account on the inside. If you spot TSI on a used Volkswagen or Audi, smile politely and just walk away. Trust me, your mechanic sees dollar signs whenever these roll into the shop. Okay, have you ever spotted a Subaru pulled over, its hood up, steam rolling out of it like a lost vape competition? That's Subaru's legendary boxer engines doing what they do best, destroying head gaskets. The Subaru EJ and FB engines, found in nearly everything from Foresters to Crosstreks, have a weird obsession with mixing coolant and oil, which don't mix very well, kids. Subaru acknowledged the issue publicly back in 2002, but instead of fixing it, they just replaced the EJ with the FB, an engine with exactly the same problem. Genius, Subaru. It's frustrating because these boxers are otherwise solid and sound awesome, but every time you drive, you'll get a little nervous with your gauges and sniffing that antifreeze and saying, head gasket. Well, those jobs, they're expensive, like nose job expensive. It's like Subaru drivers have Stockholm syndrome. They love their car despite constant betrayal. Subaru, we want to love this engine, but you make it so hard. And if you can relate, hit the like button, and if you can't, well, hit it 3 times just to really show it that you hate it, right? GM usually sticks to what it knows, like pushrod V8s, but when they tried something new with the Northstar V8, it ended in tears. Cadillac's Northstar looked high-tech, boasting dual overhead cams and sophisticated electronics, but beneath the luxury facade was a ticking time bomb. These engines had a terrible habit of ripping head bolts right out of the block. Imagine your engine self-destructing because a few critical bolts decided that they had had enough. Even minor repairs like replacing the starter required removing the entire intake manifold, turning a simple job into a full-day ordeal. GM tried blaming owners for not maintaining their engines properly, but eventually realized that the Northstar was fundamentally flawed. Just like your boy. They quietly discontinued the engine, leaving Cadillac owners holding the bag and the repair bill. Owning a Northstar Caddy is a crash course in financial regret. If you see one for sale, just pretend that you didn't. Hyundai and Kia have come a long way, but the Theta 2 engines are an undeniable black eye. These 4 cylinders are notorious for severe engine knock, oil starvation, and sudden catastrophic failure, often without warning. It got so bad that owners filed class action lawsuits against Hyundai and Kia, who ultimately issued recalls affecting millions of vehicles. Engines were replaced in droves, but the replacements were often just as flawed as the originals. Type Hyundai Theta into Google and you'll get flooded with horror stories of engines grenading themselves on family vacations, daily commutes, and trips to the grocery store. It's not just bad luck, it's just bad engineering. If your Theta-powered Hyundai or Kia is still running strong, congrats, you've won the automotive lottery. Everyone else should just consider trading theirs in while it's still moving under its own power. Trust me, I know. Chrysler's 2.7-liter V6 earned its reputation by creating a slimy black goop that could give the Exxon Valdez a run for its money. This sludge fest occurred because Chrysler put a fragile water pump gasket inside the engine block, right where coolant could mingle directly with the oil. The result? Massive engine-destroying sludge formation that clogged oil passages, seized engines, and ruined countless Chargers and Sebrings. Making matters worse though, this engine offered all the excitement of watching grass grow. It barely produced enough power to move Chrysler's heavy sedans off the line. Owners spent thousands replacing engines, only to have the problem return months later. Chrysler eventually issued one of the biggest recalls in automotive history, but by then, the damage to the reputation and customers' wallets had been done. If someone offers you a 2.7-liter powered Chrysler, just don't. If turning gasoline into diesel sounds like automotive witchcraft, that's because it basically was. Back in the late 70s and early 80s, GM decided the world needed a diesel engine. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. The Oldsmobile diesel 5.7-liter was an engineering shortcut of epic proportions. Diesel engines require extreme strength for high compression, but GM just beefed up the regular gas motor and called it good. Predictably, these Frankenstein motors cracked blocks, snapped crankshafts, and blew head gaskets with alarming regularity. To add insult to injury, these diesels produced less power than most modern lawnmowers, made miserable clattering noises, and poured black smoke like a coal-powered locomotive. It became such a failure that most of these engines got swapped back to gas power within a few years. Today, finding a running Olds diesel is rarer than spotting Bigfoot. It's automotive folklore at its finest. Today, Toyota rarely messes up, but when they do, it is spectacular. Case in point, the 3VZ FE, aka the infamous 3-dot slow. Toyota stuffed this severely underpowered V6 into heavy early 90s trucks and 4Runners, creating an SUV experience most comparable to molasses. Performance aside, these engines had head gaskets thinner than cheap toilet paper. Just looking at it wrong could cause overheating, oil leaks, and total engine failure. Even Toyota's legendary reliability couldn't save this lemon. Owners regularly replaced head gaskets multiple times before finally surrendering and leaving the SUVs permanently parked. Toyota moved on quickly, but anyone with a 3-dot slow powered vehicle still likely has nightmares about coolant leaks and tow truck bills. GM's Ecotec 1.4-liter turbo engine seemed ideal on paper, compact, fuel efficient, and turbocharged. Unfortunately, reality was far uglier. The engine's turbo oil feed lines would block rapidly, starving the turbo of lubrication until it failed and died dramatically. What's worse, turbo replacements often cost more than swapping the entire engine. Yeah, you heard that right. Buying a completely new motor was the cheaper option. GM's little Ecotec became infamous for turning practical commuter cars like the Chevy Cruze into driveway ornaments. If you still have one of these, just know your turbo's days are numbered. Every startup is like playing Russian roulette with your wallet. Save yourself, sell it before you're forced into engine replacement therapy sessions. The Ford Explorer was once America's favorite SUV, but underneath its popularity lurked a ticking time bomb, the infamous 4-liter Cologne V6. While the rest of the Explorer had issues, like spontaneously flipping upside down, this V6 was especially sinister. Its specialty? Eating timing chains for breakfast. Timing chain guides would fail early and catastrophically, causing engine-destroying interference. Repairs were difficult and outrageously expensive, requiring engine removal for proper fixes. The Cologne V6 became infamous among mechanics, owners, and anyone foolish enough to buy a used Explorer, thinking that they got a deal. Owning one became a stressful gamble of when, not if, your timing chain would snap. There's a reason they nicknamed these Explorers the Exploders, and it wasn't affectionate at all. GM's 3.6-liter VVT engine was everywhere in Traverses, CTS, Cadillacs, and way more. It had decent power and smoothness, but beneath that was an engineering mess. These engines were built with timing chains seemingly made of cooked spaghetti. They stretched prematurely, jumped time, and destroyed valves like clockwork. But that wasn't all. Weak water pumps routinely failed, causing overheating and destroying aluminum cylinder heads. Fixing these issues often meant tearing down nearly the entire engine, so repair bills were astronomical. Owners faced constant anxiety and bank-breaking bills, making the 3.6-liter engine infamous. GM tried fixes, updates, and redesigns, but for many, the damage was already done. To this day, owners shiver when they hear timing chain and 3.6 VVT mentioned together. The Yugo, known universally as one of the worst cars ever made, period. But its crowning achievement was terribly its tiny 1.1-liter inline-4 engine. Now that is small, folks. Despite being smaller than your average lawnmower engine, it somehow produced less power, had worse fuel economy, and spewed pollution like a tiny Soviet-era factory. This engine was famously unreliable. Components broke at random, parts vibrated loose regularly, and electrical gremlins caused spontaneous shutdowns. Owning a Yugo was an exercise in patience and a guaranteed path towards mechanical despair. There's a reason Yugos became punchlines. Their engines were truly awful. Today, the few survivors sit quietly in museums or garages, reminders that sometimes automotive history is best left in the past. Rotary engines, well, they're fucking awesome, but they also seem to cause a lot of trouble. Mazda's Renesis rotary engine powering the RX-8 took this chaos to new heights. Sure, it revved to the moon and sounded like a swarm of angry bees, but its reliability was laughable. Ha! Apex seals, critical components in rotary engines, failed constantly, requiring complete engine rebuilds every 50,000 miles if you were lucky. Even worse, the RX-8 drank oil like it was going out of style and burned fuel faster than a jumbo jet. Owners endured the headaches because, well, admittedly, rotaries are cool, but daily driving an RX-8 was basically a full-time mechanic apprenticeship. Mazda's rotary experiment died quickly, taking many wallets with it. Jaguar Land Rover's AJ133 V8 had one job: deliver luxury power smoothly. Instead, it specialized in destroying itself spectacularly. Water pumps lasted just about as long as ice cubes in July, maybe 20,000 miles if you were lucky. And when they failed, overheating usually wrecked your expensive V8 completely. Electrical problems were another nightmare. Sensors failed, electronics fried themselves, and random warning lights popped up like the sun rises each morning. Owning this engine was like having a high-maintenance relationship. You loved it when it worked, but the emotional and financial toll wasn't worth it at all. Jaguar Land Rover engines are proof that you can't buy reliability no matter how much you spend. Okay, and now we finally arrived, the absolute king of terrible engines, the Ford 5.4-liter Triton 3-valve V8, designed using modern computers by one of the richest car makers in the world. Early Triton engines had spark plugs literally exploding out of cylinder heads. Later, Ford redesigned the threads, which promptly fused spark plugs permanently in place, breaking them during maintenance. Add timing chain nightmares, sludge problems, and cracked exhaust manifolds, and you've got a dumpster fire to say the least. It's mind-blowing this engine powered America's best-selling truck for years, because how did anyone put up with all this? Regardless, if automotive misery had a mascot, it would undoubtedly be Ford's 5.4-liter Triton V8. Okay, so which engines did we actually miss on this list? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll be down there for the good, the bad, the ugly, and I'll be commenting back at you. So get down there, let us know. Also, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out these Ideal vids over here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. Catch you next week, and promise me one thing, keep living the Ideal lifestyle.